from your end of it too, like Lessings from your company is they shell out a ton of money for these events. Like they're at everything.
They're gracious people, and they're really entrepreneurs. They really like to give. Philanthropists is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, and they give back. We do a lot of work in the community, and they want to always be there to support. We have venues all over Long Island and Florida, and we do a lot of nonprofit events, whether it's gift cards for raffles or sponsorships or journal ads. We always try to give back. And because this event is so near and dear to me, they've really been great. So Lessings has been a sponsor since I've been with them over 10 years, really, since I joined them.
Yeah, I think maybe this year coming up, what we're going to do is Noche Funeral Home's going to cover any deaths that occur.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, really.
We're going to pre-plan them.
Pre-plan it?
Yeah. Well, so one of the things we do on this show, because after all, it is a funeral-themed show, is we like to ask our guests, have you ever thought about your arrangements?
Oh, you're starting with me.
I'll start. We're going to go right down the line, bud.
No, it's nothing that's crossed my mind as of yet, but, I know
your
that
wife hasn't brought it up
relationship that I have with you, Vin, and kind of seeing you, help our buddy Paul and, his father, and the way you make death sound so appealing.
Fun?
Palatable.
Put the F in the...
We put the fun
in
funeral. Love that.
I know that whoever comes to you, they're in good hands, and I really appreciate it. So, no, I haven't thought about it, but I think I'm in good hands.
Actually not traditionally, they invented cremation.
Sure, but we don't do that. It's against our religion.
Greeks.
Yeah. We don't do that now.
Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't the Germans.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So H.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus. Wow. But we would do coins on the eyes for the gatekeeper and the guy who goes across the water and all that stuff. But
yeah. Need
so
that coin.
Even though Vince is going to do the right thing, if you don't mind me cutting over you.
Good.
It's the best thing you can possibly do.
Yeah, pre-planning.
It
gets a little hot now, dude.
Honestly, and I wouldn't have known it if my parents didn't do it. So and there's just so many benefits to it. And again, I don't want to steal his thunder. And
I've been telling
this
my
is the guy I was
parents to
telling
do
you
it
about.
too.
Remember I was telling you I have a friend who promotes my stuff. I wish I could do it as good as he does
But it's because it's easy when it is what it is. So there's so many layers to it. Years ago, it's got to be almost 20 years ago, my parents living in Florida, knew what they wanted to do. My father's a veteran, so he wanted to be buried at the VA. Wanted to be, in a mausoleum, the whole thing that he knew what he wanted. I don't know what I want. He knew what he wanted. And my mother was right. Yeah, kind of.
Live forever.
Yeah, I'm not going to die. So they took care of the plans. They found, who was going to be the funeral home.
Chris, right?
No, this is down in Florida.
Oh, okay.
This is all Florida. Really took care of it with, I have one sister, it's just my sister and I, 2 kids. Neither one of us had any idea that they were planning it out. But, one day we were visiting them and they were like, listen, they have a den where they have their files and, brought us in and said, listen, in the case one of us die or both of us, in that drawer, in that file, right on the outside of the file is a guy's name and a phone number. Just call that name and number, and inside is all the documents. They'll pick up the body wherever we are.
Wow. They'll
take care of all the arrangements, the services paid for, how we want it, the rabbi, everything's in there. All the way through everything that needed to be planned. So I thought it was kind of weird, but kind of good. Again, well, it was not only kind of when you think about it, the way they want it, because if they died suddenly and we never had the conversation, my sister and I would be like, well, what do we think they'd want?
Yeah.
Well, what do we want? You don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
Right.
So this was already taken care of. What I didn't realize till years later was not only were the plans taken care of, it was already paid for.
Amazing.
So almost 20 years later, my father passed a couple of years ago. I took a look at the paperwork. It was a couple of $1,000s that all this cost him today's value, Vince will tell you, was way north of $10,000.
Yeah, every funeral I do now is north of 15.
The first thought that crossed my mind is, all right, what are all these other costs going to come in? Because how is this even possible? And my father passed. He was in a hospital when he died. I immediately pulled out that folder, called the name. It was a local funeral home. The guy was super on the phone. I just told him the hospital. He kind of had all the information.
It's all
literally, all I had to do was show up for the service, and everything else was already taken care of, other than tipping the rabbi. Got to do that.
Like your title insurance
guy.
He's like,
it was
thanks. Have a good day.
It was It was. Well, I was told.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing where the funeral director was like, you make sure you take care of the rabbi. There's a range they give you.
Why is he standing by the car?
He's not letting me in. But so again, in hindsight, looking at that, it was awesome that my sister and I didn't have to. My mother's old. She's going to be 90 soon. To go to her after she just lost her husband of 60 some odd years. Yeah. I'm not going to get good answers or, all that out of her. And then my sister and I to try to figure this all out. Lord, even the VA part would have been, where do we begin? Yeah. To the fact that it was already taken care of.
Right.
So now I look at it like I have 3 kids. I don't want them to have to deal with that. Have I done it yet? No. But I'm silly. I should. And from a dollars and cents point of view,
it's only going up.
I can't believe
if I contract all this today with Vince and I live hopefully another 20, 30 years, how much is it going to cost then? And it's already taken care of. It's amazing.
It's amazing that they honored. And
so they honor, but there is not that I want to say there's a trick to it. But so what happens is the easy numbers. You give me $10,000 for a funeral, and that's the whole thing, right? Let's just, for argument's sake, that's the whole thing. We take that money, we put it in an interest-bearing account, so it gains interest on your money, and any increase, traditionally speaking, interest has always outpaced inflation.
Sure.
So long as that funeral is paid in full by that time, we guarantee it in a sense of, there's going to be price raises, but it's gained interest. The interest offsets the inflation. Everybody's happy. Nobody has to come out of pocket. The only way that bill changes is if you add or take things away, and depending on how it's set up, it may be irrevocable, which means you can't change a thing.
Yeah.
So, it's weird coming from me. I don't want to sound gimmicky, but when you hear somebody else say something like that passionately in your favor, you're like, preach.
But I don't think anybody knows it.
Do they do it with you or an attorney?
They do it with me. The attorney does all like the guardianships and all the trusts and wills.
When you say irrevocable, it's irrevocable with you.
It's irrevocable. So the money is always the person's money.
You can't come in after your father dies and say, give me back that money.
Yeah.
I'm going to
bury him in a shoebox.
Right.
That money
I need a Louis Vuitton bag.
That's what irrevocable means when it comes
that money is earmarked for exactly what it was
They're
meant
getting the funeral they want no matter what their children say.
Yes.
At a minimum, you could always upgrade.
Yeah, so that again, going back to what we were saying, so that money is earmarked for that, gains the interest. Any price raises, good to go. You don't have to worry about a thing. And like he said, it's a matter of, hey, Vin, so-and-so passed.
It's a phone call.
Everything is done. You just, okay, what day do you want to do? That's the decision you have to make. Yeah. And then, you show up for that day.
Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. You make one call and
this is your mission.
You forget about it, and then literally you show, because you talk to the funeral director does talk to you about the day and the time for the service, but literally, other than that, it's all taken care of.
Yeah. It blows my. Listen, I understand why people. It's like death is a very taboo topic, right? It's like, my own family, we had no idea what they wanted. My grandfather was in the business literally since he was a child. Died in 96, and we were like, I guess this is what we're going to do.
Right.
So he, it takes the guesswork out of it. And I always say you want to honor what the person wants, right? So if they want a 1-day wake or a 2-day wake, or they don't want anything at all, you want to honor what they want to an extent. So there's a catch to all this. The catch is that funerals are for the living. And this is how we're going to remember them. So I always say, like, you walk that line, you take a step over here, but maybe you do something, you sacrifice it over there. And my goal for the funerals is we want to make it a celebration of life without making it a party. Because like you guys know me, I like to joke around. It's kind of goofy, have a good time. But like when it comes to that stuff, it's like you'd be like, is that the same guy?
Dead serious.
Yeah, dead serious.
But we noticed it when we had our meeting at your place, like the way you were, and then you're like, "Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please follow me into the salon."
Oh,
like
you
turned into somebody else.
Don't think that didn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, so it's very important. Another thing people don't know about me is I can do funerals anywhere. So, if we're in Wantaw, we can go to a Wantaw funeral home. If you're in Bayshore, but you're close enough to me where I could drink.
I don't think anybody knows that is even possible.
Yeah, so it's also hard to get that through to people. It's easier on the pre-planning to do that than it is the at needs. And it's, wait, you could do what? So, but like I always tell people, you have to think of me as like your funeral concierge, agent of death.
What are the laws now with doing it at somebody's house?
So we can do funerals anywhere, so long as I'm there with my license. If there's a body present,
you're there the whole time.
I have to.
So you bring it and you take it away.
Yeah, it's
so you can't
a
leave
nightmare
it for a 2-day wait.
How much property do you need to bury someone in your backyard?
I don't know. You should ask
Trump.
Yeah.
Well, that was a golf course.
Yeah.
So we could save taxes.
Yeah. I don't know. Good luck selling the fucking house. This is lovely 4-bedroom. This is lovely 4-bedroom colonial.
My son,
he's literally never moving.
My son will have my
They're
house
gonna bury
until
him
he
there.
lives his whole life.
That just means that your kids and grandkids and their grandkids need to live there.
Taxes.
Yeah.
So again, getting back to your initial question, I mean, I can't imagine anything better. Because again, what are you going to do? You're going to wait till you die, and then your kids are going to fight over who's covering the cost or how mom or dad wanted it?
It never works out like that.
Oh
so
my God,
one kid's loaded, the other
time.
kid's broke.
Why should I pay for everything?
Why should I pay for everything?
And they're not getting that inheritance in that week.
I had that happen not too long ago. I think I might have told you about it. So it wasn't a matter of like broke rich. It was like okay and not okay. And then the son comes in. We do the funeral. They were just difficult everywhere. Not the sister.
As siblings?
Siblings. He wanted closed casket. She wanted to see the mom. He paid for everything, and then at the end but at like the end of the arrangements conference, it's like she needs to pay her half. Give him back his half. She pays her half, and now, believe it or not, that makes it worse for me. Yeah, because now I have to satisfy both parties.
So we won't allow that. We only let one person
point.
sign the contract because I can't have two people telling me two different things.
They have an all-out brawl in my lobby. Not the sister, the sister's husband walks in, and the brother, who I probably shouldn't say this, but he was trashy. They go out there, and one of the sisters, one of the sisters comes in and goes. They're fighting in the lobby. You have to help. I run out there, and I'm like, they're like, do something. I'm like, you want me to call 911? They're like, no. I'm like, let them beat the shit out of each other. Yeah.
Sadly, that can't be the first time that's ever happened.
It happens all the time. I had an old man like try to wrestle me to the ground. So when I was a kid, I've literally done everything from door person to funeral director, president to porter, and everything in between. And I was cleaning up at night. We take the mass cards out. Now, back then, and still to this day a little bit, the old school Italians, they give some green in the envelope. So I take down the prayer cards, and they're like the little hands. I'm sure you've seen them. And
they put cash in those?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's a prayer card. Sometimes it's money in the envelope.
To go to who?
Pay for the bill.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
that's really nice.
Yeah. So, you take him down. He was an old school Italian. Talking like this. Could barely move. Remember John McCain? Moved like John McCain, and he grabbed me with every ounce of his like old man strength and spun me around. And what are you do? You're gonna steal the money? And I was like, what the fuck? I work here. I almost fell over a chair. It was,
But that's how would you know to do that? Like how I guess it's just
I get people asking me all sorts
of
stupid questions all the time.
I can't even imagine.
You leave the gold fillings in. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you know how hard that would be to yank that out of someone's mouth? Like,
It's kind of hard.
Listen, we get it done.
I know of an interesting story about a guy.
It's probably not true. People say all the time, I knew a guy who worked at a funeral home. Yeah. He said the body sat up.
Well, so like
no, he didn't.
He would do a lot of funerals for like
nothing ever sat up,
and he would. So basically, like these old Italian guys would come in, and like he said, they would throw money, they would throw jewelry, all this stuff into the casket. So what the guy would do at the end of it was actually take everything out of the casket and he would tally it up and he would write the dead man a check and put the check into the casket, right? And he's like, I'm not stealing from the guy, but if he ever wants to,
you can always cash that check.
I'm going to credit the rapper Lil Wayne. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. So, because the G is silent.
I got you.
Nobody tells you the real stuff to have. Anybody's telling you that, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's for as taboo and like ooh as the business is, it's very respectable. Not to listen, there's bad apples in every bunch. They had the whole body scam where one of the funeral homes in Queens had like a surgical room where they were literally harvesting organs and bones. Sure. So listen, bad apples in every bunch. Yeah. There's
I guess a
bad contractors, right?
Yeah.
Bad, people skimming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not me.
No.
Food poisoning.
Wow. That was a little dramatic.
Yeah,
pause.
really.
Yeah. So like there's bad apples in every industry, right? Yep. So but the overwhelming amount of like funeral home owners in the private industry, the private sector they're overwhelmingly awesome people, and that even my competition, they're good people. They're just trying to make a living. Where people get problems is like the big corporations, like. For argument's sake, it's like a SCI. It's just a giant $350 million a year, $350 million like market cap conglomerate of, it's just like they make the mistakes because they're too big for their own good. They can't get the staffing. And it's like, that's when things happen. And when those things happen, and it happens on the private side, there's a couple of guys that, got too big too fast and they unfortunately cremated a wrong person.
Oh God.
Or they put the wrong person in the wrong clothes in the wrong room with the wrong casket. And in reality, those mistakes, not only they give a black eye for everybody.
Oh, and you hear the one-offs anyway.
But you get, like.
That's a big
those
mistake,
lawsuits
though.
start at $5 million.
Wow.
And then go up from there. Like that.
Well, I can understand.
There's a funeral home
on
Long Island not too long ago that they cremated 2 people and they gave the wrong ashes to the wrong family.
Person.
How do you
you get too big, too much going on.
No, but how do you know it happened?
Like, that's
to
the
their
wrong
credit,
color.
they from what I understand, I might be pontificating.
Like that's not Tommy.
One of them was an Indian, like India from Indian, and the other one was an Italian. And from what I understand, they took the Italian guy by accident back to India, dumped him in the river. You're never getting that back.
I host often, and one of her other hats is certified financial planners.
Exotic
Too many
dancer.
acronyms.
Yeah, I was like, what?
But what do I do for them? They host events with me where they invite people, usually with money or sometimes seniors, so that they can talk about their financial planning. You have to figure out a way to get these same seniors and people with money in a room and talk to them about, have you planned how you want to go out of this world so that it's not on your children? I got to tell you, it's like a light switch. As soon as people realize,
when they get it, right.
I'm trying to convince
wait a
my
minute, if I
parents to
die,
do
my
it
kids
now.
have got to figure this all out. Screw that, I'll do it.
Yep.
And I'll pay for it now so they don't have to be burdened with it.
It doesn't even have to be paid for. It should be paid for, but like
Just
at
what
least
you
plan
want.
get it on paper.
I like the
It takes
paper part.
$1,000 to open the account. From a selfish business standpoint, that's locked in for me. It's not finished, but it's okay.
Right, they're not going to go somewhere else and lose that $1,000.
Give me back my deposit.
Yeah. No, sir, you have to die for that.
Yeah. They write him a check and put it in his car.
So I actually did my first Indian funeral probably within a year, and I got to tell you, it was one of the most beautiful ceremonies I've ever seen.
They do everything.
Was
your weddings
their
too.
weddings.
Wild. They spent so much money on flowers, not just for me, but
I'm
from a bunch
surprised
of
you were
flowers.
able to fit them. They're usually a ridiculous amount of people.
That room is big, and the lobby. I had to.
big.
They asked me to shut the whole funeral home down,
Okay.
which we did.
And
they
you
covered
a
that
lot of hours
woman.
to set up.
Yeah, they come in, they take their shoes off. They're all dressed in like traditional garb, mainly, if I remember correctly, white robe. The day of the funeral, they came in, they did their thing with the incense and everything. And they covered this woman. They opened the whole entire casket from head to toe in flowers. Just her face left open. And I know it sounds a little corny, but I was actually like genuinely moved by like how beautiful it is, because it's like I'm sure you see with the weddings,
Absolutely.
same rinse and repeat.
Well, that was different.
And then when you see something like that, you're like, oh wow, that's
how long ago
nice.
did you do that?
It's been within a year. It's probably like 9 months ago, I want to say. But I mean, beautiful ceremony. But
they had to educate you on how to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So I'm not scared to just say, hey, listen, guys, this is my first Indian
how do people know that? You know what I mean? You don't advertise in Newsday, that you have a funeral home that does all
yes,
ethnic
right.
backgrounds and religious.
No, so like Jewish people they'll drive past 11 funeral homes to go to a Jewish funeral home. But in reality,
stop right there. And again, I'll take your line that Jewish funeral homes
they're not doing the right thing
expensive.
by their own people.
Yeah. So an average Jewish funeral is probably in the $20,000 range.
Dude, I'll add money onto my bill and still be 10 grand less
than a Jewish funeral home.
And
what are you getting? You're not getting anything. The same rabbi can come to both funeral homes.
It's what we call on the dark side. It's what we call direct burial. The only thing that not the only thing that you guys do different, but one of the things you guys do different is it's a rush to the cemetery because you believe you get back to the earth from which you came. So you
pay a shiver after the body's buried. You don't do a wake until you.
Yes, and that's the celebration of life on your end, which is fine. But for what they're doing, it's like they got this stranglehold on a community that's, in my opinion, take it for what it's worth. It seems abusive.
And again, I just give it to the people. Just don't know.
No.
You don't know what you don't know. And I think that and I'm serious, you have to figure out a good way to get in front of people, because it is something that it's not a taboo conversation. It really isn't, especially when you talk to people that are getting up in age.
Yeah. Listen, anybody who's got air in their lungs is a potential customer of mine.
Yeah.
It's a fact of life. Everybody's going to die, right?
Yeah. It's just getting over that taboo hump of I don't want to talk about that.
Well, it was the same thing with wills and trusts 20 years ago, and now it's very open.
But I had Jen Kona on the show, and it blows my mind too. What she was telling me is like how much people are so resistant to doing that, and it's like that's literally protecting your assets.
I think it's all in the delivery. I think that if it's again, you take your craft seriously, but you're light about it. So I think when you present to people, you don't have that, 1950s movie mortician coming out with his, black hat and black suit and, being really dry. You're a human being. And I think the younger people now, I think, could get over it quicker than, my grandparents could have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But you got to learn to read a room. Right? There's times people want to laugh. There's times it's all business. And there's times that like people want to laugh a little, but you can't, you got to skate the line or skirt the line, whatever the saying is, And so it's like I always say, I'm just, it's like my friend Chris Tomlin always says, when you got to go Gilmore.
Yeah. Let me tell you, he's a man.
He's one of my favorite people.
He's a man.
There's the two guys that he works with, Anthony and Anthony. They're good people, genuine, solid people. And then Travis from Massapequa Funeral Home is like salt of the earth. What that guy does for the community, that kid, from what I understand, they took care of everything on the arm. And that's not the first time he's done that, too. Yeah. So, that's a guy who doesn't do it for the attaboy or he would probably hate the fact that I even brought it up.
Yeah, probably.
He, he's a guy like that I aspire to be like. Good man.
So
really
how do you meet all these people? At the Nassau Suffolk Funeral Directors Association?
So we have a secret clan. We secret clan meetings every third Thursday.
Pettit. What was the first name?
Joe
Pettit.
Joe, yeah. So there's the Nassau Suffolk Funeral Directors Association.
The Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I'm not a part of that, but they keep trying to drag me in.
You should. It's networking.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Keep up with the cronies.
Bunch of deadbeats.
Yeah. No pun intended.
So.
Well, it's something that I think you definitely should aspire to be able to figure out how to get in front of them. There are so many, not to say assisted living or medical facilities, but just senior facilities, where people are just living there on their own. They don't if you can get in front of a group like that and kind of enlighten them on that stuff. I think it's
be myself and then give them facts at the same time. It's
100%.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, because they don't think they're gonna die tomorrow, and when you I look at it like, my wife gets mad because I say I'm gonna die first, and she doesn't understand how I know, but why Jews die first, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's no shot that I outlive my wife.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I always said...
Wait, what am I missing? Why do
Jewish men die first?
Yeah.
Because they want to.
Because we choose to.
It's a joke.
You choose to.
I
got
love
you.
my wife.
No.
I
I'm
don't
just,
want to die first because of that.
as the woman in the room, I'm not really sure. Like,
we're the same age.
You need
and
rest
women
and peace and quiet
men,
or something?
So just in odds and...
I just don't want to deal with that.
Comes from family that lived to 105. I think the oldest person in my family was not young, 89, but not 105. But that's what I always thought. Like, I think I want to be cremated, and then she has to put me. She doesn't want to be cremated.
You're gonna be locked in that box with her for eternity, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Rethink
That's
that.
what I want.
You could go right on top of her. You don't have to be inside.
Oh, I don't care. She could just be holding me. I don't care. You could screw with her.
What about you, miss?
Me?
Yeah.
I actually have thought about it, especially since I had a little bit of a medical scare last year. So you kind of think about what you want, and
there's a great saying it's you think you have problems in your life till you have a health problem.
Yes.
Then you only have one problem.
Because then I would be doing my hair, getting dressed in the morning, and I'd be thinking about it, and then I'd be think, oh God, what if this really progresses and something happens, and I have a son, an 18-year-old son, and I have friends and I have family. So I have thought
Jesus.
I know, right? Let's bring it all down.
Her funeral is going to be a nightmare. How many thousands of people are going to show up?
It's so funny. My son did say that to me. He's like, Mom, he goes, you know so many people. He's like, God forbid anything happened to you. He goes, Dad and I would be standing there and we wouldn't know who half of the people are. But I have thought about it. My family has also been very open with it. So I am trying to get my parents to pre-plan, but my grandparents definitely told us what they wanted because they lived away and we didn't know.
But do you know what your parents want?
Well, my mom recently told me she doesn't want an open coffin, which I thought was interesting because I was like, oh my God, you have to. She's like, I don't want people standing over me and staring at me.
So there's always there's a happy medium for
and
that.
I was like, I don't know if I could do that. And she goes, but that's what I want. And I was like, okay. And they live in Florida, and I wouldn't even
like how the Jews do it. You do
I
it
wouldn't
privately?
even
So we could do it privately where we do that.
That's what she said. You can look at me, but I don't want people staring over me.
Or you just do it for half or the first hour or whatever. So people are so programmed of this is the way we have to do it. When they make arrangements with me, they're like, well, what are the times? And I'm like, traditionally they're 2 to 4, 7 to 9. The new school is 4 to 8, but we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You like the 4 to 8?
I do. I think it's nice not to have that break in the middle.
You want everybody to get out of work early and not get home late.
It's a long day or a long 4 hours.
And then just to have the 2 hours and then go and eat and then have the 2 hours in between. Like I've had friends to do it, and then to really just go back. I feel like it's exhausting. It's exhausting and grueling.
It's exhausting in a sense. If you think about it, right? Logistically, you're probably getting ready for 2 to 4. You're getting there at 1. You're getting ready at like 11. You're waiting around. You get there. It's upsetting.
And I'm a very emotional person anyway. So like, God forbid, I keep saying I want my parents to live to be 400 years old. Like I don't know that I'm going to be able to handle.
Which is why you pre-plan 100%.
Right. And then I do have a brother, but my parents live in Florida.
Brothers are useless, I hear.
Yeah, exactly. What funeral? You're like, how do I know what funeral home they? So we have started talking about it.
So,
but I don't know in Florida.
They're in Florida?
In Florida, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Honestly,
anyway.
Yeah, literally. If I just have one that just landed at JFK,
that's what I'm
probably
saying,
an hour
ago. Know.
So the person would call me just like this guy did. They call me up. We have a history with them too. We've done this before for them. We call the local funeral home down there that we have a relationship because there's so many snowbirds now at this point, and they pick the person up depending on like how much they want to do down there. I'm your agent across the board. So we would schedule them to come pick your loved one up, ship them back to New York, or lay them out down there and then ship them back to New York, and then receive everything on our end. And then, believe it or not, that's less money for the family, payment-wise, if I call than it would be if you called the funeral home.
Wholesale.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But do your parents want to be buried up here or down in Florida?
No, they want to be buried down. They do have their cemetery plots, that I know, but they've never said... I don't know where there's a funeral home. There might be 10. How do I know which one? The Vero Beach area.
Oh, yeah.
So
I got my brother-in-law down there. He'll help me.
All right. But ever since,
Are they down there permanently?
Yes.
Okay.
But I have been, since we were at your place for the meeting and heard you talk, I have been telling them that.
Was it the embalming bottles on the end tables?
It was flowers that you made.
It was
That's
a flower.
right.
Well, that, and I also told my dad, I'm like, Dad, so there were like the 3 coffins. There was like the
super high end.
Guess which one he wants.
And my dad wants it. He's like, oh, yeah, the $30,000 one. I want that one. I was like, okay.
What's his name?
Jerry.
Jerry, let me show you something else. It's a private room.
Have you had anybody buried in a kiss coffin?
No, I will get you whatever you want. You got the money, I'll make it happen. That's my motto. I've sold probably, I want to say 7 of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Of what?
The
glass caskets.
Did you see that? Yeah.
I put both my grandparents in them. Obviously, listen, it doesn't cost me what it costs you.
Of course.
Right.
It's like, your kid getting married. It's like, yeah, we got the best of everything. No shit. But yeah. So yeah,
He enjoyed the wedding.
Yeah, I did too.
those are
Yeah,
those are expensive. They're actually 48-ounce solid bronze caskets.
Wow.
But Jews won't do that.
Some dude, I was at Howie's mom's funeral that I did, and I was in that cemetery, and there was above ground mausoleums with Italian names on them.
Oh, well, Jews and Italians are like one and the same.
Yeah, I heard that about the Greeks too.
How does someone pick a coffin though? Like, do you have like
I
wood
have-
samples to
so we
touch?
have-
I don't even know how that would work.
I have it. I can pull it up on my phone. I can show you. There's an app now because it's 21st
You could actually
century.
see yourself lying.
Yeah. I could. You can try them out.
VR.
don't think
Or
so.
you can. We have an actual casket room that's got
The samples.
A showroom.
full caskets in it.
Yes.
There's
Really?
27 caskets in there.
Stacked.
He-
Very nice.
in your place?
Yeah.
Really?
When we did the tour, that literally like the day before, there was a ceiling leak, and literally like I don't know how big would you say it is, like
4x4.
Yeah, 4x4 section fell down, took out like 3 caskets with it.
Oh.
Yeah. Displays.
You get those cheap?
Never ending. They're on consignment.
Now
so
you can get those
send
cheap.
them back.
She doesn't mind a flow model.
Oh yeah, gently used.
Chinese.
maybe they
Never
got
mind the
better.
stains, honey.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, that's just it. Why can't you rent them and then put them
You
in
can.
a
So on
$5?
cremations,
Yeah.
we have rental units.
Right.
It's I don't know how I feel about it. One day I think it's like I don't want to say scammy because it's not scammy. You get to use a very nice casket, and then inside of it is what comes out, the interior, and that's like a
That's only used
cardboard
once.
board. Yeah, and that's used once, so the shell stays, but the interior pulls out like a giant shoebox.
And is everything on them when they're cremated?
So it depends. I always tell people to take all the jewelry off,
Yeah.
and then if you want, put it inside the urn. Because what happens is you go to a crematory, let's say you have jewelry and a pen and this, that. The metal doesn't actually, there's no nice way to say it, the metal doesn't burn.
Right.
So what happens is the crematory operator goes through, he sifts through it with a magnet. Any metal that's in there, they just take and throw out.
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
it's like, to me, it's such a waste. Just take it and put it
Yeah,
in the
put it,
ashes
yeah.
in
Right,
the
right.
urn.
No, of course.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So, but I'm not there to argue with people. If they're insistent on it, then I will. What comes out, which is going to sound weird, pacemakers. Those have to come out
Really?
because they're battery packs. Battery packs get hot, they explode. They will ruin the inside of the machine, and those machines are very expensive.
I can imagine.
And,
You do that? You take it
No,
out? No.
he's not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
He's
I
not allowed to do
resell
the
'em.
cremation. But
You have to
who takes out the
separate-
pacemakers? That's what
No,
That's what I
I
mean.
remove the pacemakers.
You do.
Yeah. So you want to hear a funny story? There's pacemakers.
Is it like
and-
surgery?
No, he just
Less the
Surgery when you're
anesthetics.
dead.
No, I know,
he takes
but
a sushi
still.
knife and just opens
Yeah.
it up.
No, yeah,
Oh.
we go in and we clip it, and then there's like they're tied to the muscle.
Was that all on the job training?
Yeah.
And that doesn't freak
Yeah,
you
you'd be
out?
a serial killer if it wasn't
Right.
in reality. Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I would assume that
the embalming aspect of it is definitely weird. Autopsies are the weirdest.
You get used to it,
It's
though,
wild.
right? I mean,
I don't think the one thing I'll never get used to is the long bone donations.
the who?
They are wild.
Wow.
What is that?
So you
Well,
could
it's your leg, yeah.
donate like your heart, your lungs, your eyes, and your long bones, and they surgically remove those things. They put some
But you don't
PVC
do
pipes in
that.
those. I've assisted on autopsies. I've never
Really?
assisted. That's done in a facility.
What do they do with those?
They take the bones out and they make teeth and whatever else they use for bones,
Oh, God.
joints and knees. But the worst part is like you'll come back into my embalming room and there'll be somebody there and they're like this and their knees facing down, their foot's facing that way, and like you're just like
a little freaky.
Oh, dude, it's to see bones not facing the right way is the thing that gets me all the time.
I still want to get back to nobody's ever sat up in your.
No one's ever sat up. No one's ever sat up anyway. Where people move is actually at the crematory because the high heat pulls the muscles, and the muscles then pull on the tendon. They do the cremation.
Wait,
dance.
the dead bodies
do you not
move
embalm
like
a
that?
body that's being cremated?
Inside the cremation machine. So in the chamber, it's very, very high heat. It hits the muscle dehydrates, and as the muscle dehydrates, it pulls on the tendon, which pulls on the bone, which moves the muscle. So that's real weird.
Are you playing Thriller in the background, or?
Yeah.
So wait, you're watching it like
it's
through
all
glass?
in glass.
You can see it.
Really?
Yeah, they open the machine, the door to periodically check to make sure everything is, going good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How long does it take?
It used to take a long time. Now I think you can cremate a body in probably like 4 hours.
4 hours.
That's a long
Start to
time.
finish.
And what it used to be.
Probably like 6 to 8.
Wow.
Depending on the temperature. I could call Frankie from the
No,
crematory.
good.
Get an
I
exact.
don't
you
feel
wanna
like our
talk?
body is that long.
Yeah.
Or that big.
The brisket takes a while. So.
What would the
24-hour brisket.
Are you embalming a body that's going to be cremated?
Yeah, so anybody that's going to be viewed should be embalmed
right,
because it's, there's a lot of health hazards with that. It's actually quite gross. You know what I want to ask you all the time? The rabbis, they come in and they bless the kitchen. What do they actually do? I've never seen it.
They don't come in and bless the kitchen. They come in and they kasha the kitchen. So there are things they have to do. They turn up the ovens to like as high as they go, 550, sometimes 600.
Frank does that at the crematory too.
They got to burn that for a certain amount of time. So any food that might have been in that oven is gone. You can't kasha China because China's porous. So
The Chinese don't burn well?
no.
I've seen videos of them coming in with propane
Torching
and
things,
torching
yeah,
the cabinets.
So they do kosher. It's not a blessing. It's literally
Just to cleanse?
because they don't want any non-kosher item touching what they're going to eat. So
Now, not to cheap out, is that something you could do or only that rabbi can
well,
do?
you have to be what they call a mashgiach, which is a rabbi that does that. You're trained to do.
I had that one.
So you have to
It was a really
hire
terrible rash.
They have antibiotics for that.
Yeah.
You
Cleared up after
when
a week.
when we do a kosher event and they're going to use our kitchen, mashgiach or the rabbi has to come in hours before and do all of that stuff. So they can use our silverware and they can use our glassware because our dish machines get hot enough that they'll run them through twice maybe, but it'll be fine for metal or for glass.
Right.
But not for China.
So it's just a sanitizing process, really.
Yeah, so it's not a blessing. It's literally sanitizing. And same with kosher meats. It's the way that they're killed. It's not a blessing, which is like halal. Indians that eat halal can eat kosher food, but Jews that eat kosher food can't eat halal because they don't have that rabbinical stuff.
When I worked for my dad, my dad owned oil companies. There was a...
Sound like big in Texas.
yeah. There's a new show out called Landman.
Yes, I heard it was awesome.
Look, I watched the first 3 episodes. They were awesome.
I'm a big fan of Yellowstone, and I just watched Lioness.
Lioness is
and,
great. Nice little butt
those
cheeks
are all
in there,
Taylor
too.
Sheridan, who also wrote this oil one.
Yeah.
And wrote like 5 others.
So do you know, I don't know if this guy's smart, but the ranch that they film Yellowstone on, he rents that out for like $50,000 a month during that. Owns all the horses. He rents that out to the show. Starting 4 Sixes. Yeah. Guess who owns 4 Sixes Ranch?
Yeah. He's
that guy's lateral integration at
how
its
you
finest.
can write for like 8 different shows at the same time is just insane.
I think that's like I don't know how much that is, but the Lioness show is great. I just power watched the whole first season.
I watched the first
every
and the
episode
second
is
thinking it was over, and then I realized every week there's more still coming out. I'm like 3 behind now.
Every single episode, you're on the edge of your seat. Yeah. I was watching it last night in bed on my iPhone, like on the lowest setting with the subtitles. It's a great show. And then the Landman looks like it's going to be awesome too.
I haven't watched that yet, but I do like it. Yeah, he's pretty impressive.
Any hot takes before we wrap up?
No.
All right.
So you're happy you did the fight for charity?
Gotcha. Hot takes. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Listen, again, it was definitely the journey. Like you said in the beginning, you know, you're going to be in the best shape for your life. I am definitely kind of there. I want to get a little better. And, I'm happy to have raised money for the 2 charities, the Eden 2 Genesis Foundation, as well as Community Chest. It's huge to keep the money back in Long Island, as we said.
Absolutely.
You know, and honestly, the amount of support that I got from family and friends, you know, I think that was the biggest thing to hear, like, hey, we're proud of you.
Yeah, we were nice enough to say all the bad stuff behind his back.
I got to tell you, the support you got from the link side was impressive.
Very huge.
They don't all come out for everything.
No, I know. And then, you know, I had Mike Simbala from Hartford Funding, as well as, you know, Vinny with Notre Funeral Homes. We threw a Halloween party, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so,
I think that, like, I'm going to try to make that my gig going forward.
An annual event?
Yeah.
We're going to select a boxer from the thing.
Who's donating to Eden 2.
Yeah.
And
I
then
like that you just hijacked that. That's
and then
cool.
we're gonna.
It's a great idea. I mean, you guys did an awesome job.
Yeah.
You
We
raised
can
some
name
good
it after
money. It was a lot of fun.
Great.
Another event you had more than half the Links group at, which was impressive.
We have the model in place. It's super.
Yeah, we can only make it better.
Aggressive. Yeah, absolutely.
I will say the taco truck was awesome.
Yeah, Shrimpies was great.
They did a
Shrimpies
great
was
job.
Well,
I was like,
fun.
everybody enjoy the tacos, but go home right after you eat it. You're not blowing up my bathroom
Or your floor.
or my floors.
Was your floor clean at the end of the
The
day?
floor was clean, but it definitely took a beating. So that was one of the things I was going to talk to you about eventually. Is like, instead of Lessings donating food, would they donate?
Clean the carpet?
No, would they donate their venue spot, and then we would pay for the food instead of the.
So then you're not doing it at the
Yeah,
funeral?
man. What's so
It's
fun
still
in that?
sponsored by the kid,
Alright.
the funeral kid. Pow pow.
No, you have
It's
to
kinda
have it
fun
there
having
because
it
that's
too.
The
kind
carb,
of.
I can't put.
Everybody that went and people that heard about it were like, "You doing a Halloween party at a
We
funeral?"
need
Super
floor
morbid.
coverings
That's
then.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe have it. You know what would be cool?
Yeah.
When they walk in, put them all in booties.
There you go.
'Cause it's
Oh
a
yeah,
funeral
yeah,
home.
yeah, yeah.
You know, gotta keep sterile.
It's more than it's more the drinks and stuff that
Oh,
The
that spill.
spill.
that spilled. That's
Sippy
the problem.
cups.
Yeah, sippy.
Sippy cups. Everything has a lid.
There's a way around everything, Vince.
Yeah, certainly is. But
No, it was a great event. You guys really did well,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of all you guys. I'm very fortunate to have met you. Unfortunately for me, unfortunately for you guys, I have to give the credit to Paul for bringing me around. And
we don't like to give Paul credit.
I know, but you gotta help.
I give him credit.
You gotta throw him a bone
Paul's
every now and
amazing.
then. He's he's one of my good friends as well. You know, him bringing me around introduced me to all you guys, and you know the wonderful things that you guys do. Really are impressive, and one day I strive now to be as benevolent as you two are, and now you two, and I can't wait to be in the cool kids
There
circle.
you go. Well, you already are.
I know.
You already are.
So. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Elissa. Thank you, Dimitri. Optimist Group, personal planning. Stress her out is all you want,
Yep.
and then Steve from Lessings. Make sure you get your parties booked, your holiday parties, weddings.
Might be a little late for that, huh?
Now.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks
And
for
we'll see you
having
soon.
Thanks
us.
for having us.